Hi, I'm Dan Costa, Editor-in-Chief of PCMag.com, and welcome to Fast Forward, where we have conversations about living in the future. This is a special CES 2020 edition of Fast Forward, and my guest is Cristiano Amon, the president of Qualcomm. Qualcomm is the company that makes the chips and processors and modems that go into all of the mobile devices that power the modern age. And we're going to talk about autonomous vehicles and living in an age of global connectivity. Cristiano, thanks so much for talking to me today.
Oh, happy to be here, Dan, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. So your press conference ended about an hour and a half ago. One of the things we were talking about is the state of the phone market, which Qualcomm's obviously very invested in. We've reached a point in the last couple of years where people are holding onto their phones longer. They're waiting for 5G. Now those 5G sets are starting to hit the market. Is this what's going to change the phone market? Is 2020 going to be different?
Yes. And there's a number of factors, I think, to explain, that and my optimism about the change. Well, first of all, I think if I can just, for sake of providing an explanation, if 5G brought nothing new, which is not the case, but if 5G brought nothing new, from an operator standpoint, once the technology is available and you continue, even though you're keeping your phone for a longer time, if you measure, you're using more and more data. Your average data consumption per quarter grows over time. And from an operator standpoint, they want that data to be on 5G. Not only allow the technology allow them to support larger amounts of data with unlimited data rates, but also provide them a lower cost per bit. So if anything, there's an industry incentive to switch the phone base to 5G, even if you had no new services. But the reality is 5G will transform some of the services we use today and take it to a whole new level, much like what we saw 4G doing with music. You could stream music, for example, with 3G. It wasn't a great experience. But with 4G now, everybody is on Spotify. You probably don't take CDs to your car anymore. And you can assume whatever you are, you have enough signal with 4G to stream music. Video, some. And what do you see in some cases? You have video, but that's some buffering, have a lower resolution in some cases, not with 5G. 5G is going to make video, high definition 4K video, as seamless as with the experience you have of music. That's a change. But there's more. That's just the beginning. Just look at what you do today and make them better. It's going to change gaming, mainstream gaming. Your phone is going to, if you're into games, it's not, it's going to be no different than having a console like a Nintendo Switch type device. In the palm of your hands, you're going to play mainstream gaming. You're going to change social because low latency allow live and broadcast, to be a lot more easier. And you're going to see some interesting changes in the generation of video. I like to describe that 5G will democratize video production. Anybody on a sporting event or any event into a concert with their 5G phone will be able to encode video in 4K and broadcast to YouTube. So those things are going to generate demand, and it will bring a lot of innovation and will create a cycle of upgrade. But I just want to end this question that you have by basically saying, independent of the time that it takes to build the 5G networks, because it takes time, the device ecosystem already move on, especially on the flagship and the high tier. So the best 4G phone you can buy today is a 5G phone, even if you use it only in 4G. And that's creating the move on the ecosystem.
Because of all the other components that are built into it and the screen, and that's where all the investment is.
And from go back to the first thing I said, from an operator standpoint, if they believe you're going to keep your phone for 4 or 5 years, then might as well get you a 5G phone right now, because coverage will get to where you are eventually, and I want you to be on a 5G system. So because of all of that, I think net, we're going to see a new upgrade cycle. We're going to see some excitement on the mobile market. That's going to drive, handset upgrades, and it's going to drive develop new services. So very optimistic about the whole 5G transition.
So speaking of optimism, one of the things you mentioned in your keynote, and we hear a lot in T-Mobile's advertisements, is that 5G is going to help deliver broadband to rural areas where there currently isn't broadband. And that's a big problem in the United States. Is that really what's going to happen? Because it seems like in order to deliver to those regions, you're still going to have to build out the infrastructure and the networks, and those are communities that have always been left out of broadband rollouts.
Okay, so let me give you a complicated answer instead of a simple answer, and hopefully this will make sense. And I wanted to build that in phases. So the first thing that happened is 5G is a technology from an operator standpoint, and I'm looking from the operator, allow the operator to offer you very high bandwidth, allow the operator to offer unlimited data rates, as we said before, and allow you to have a reliable connection. So if you think about the role of fixed broadband, people think of Wi-Fi in their homes as unlimited data. So if it matches that, you have to have very high speed. And on top of that, it becomes a video distribution platform. Most people today are watching Netflix, and also they have streaming services. So even if when you think about news and sport, you need to have a reliable connection. You cannot go to the Super Bowl day and then it said you don't now have a reliable connection. 5G check all those boxes. So from an operator standpoint, is if I'm building 5G networks, I now have the technology to also serve a fixed broadband connection. And we've seen that. All of the 5G business cases, you have a component of the operators building fixed wireless, and we see this traction and people developing devices. Okay, then it gets to the next question. When it gets to the rural areas. And then it gets to the rural areas as coverage expands. And, 5G won't happen nationwide, like tomorrow. It's going to be a crescendo. We're going to see more and more markets get launched. But there are a lot of interesting things, and that's why I said the answer is complicated, that pieces of the puzzle that starts to get put together, and it creates a very positive outlook for rural broadband, and that's the complicated part of the answer. Since you have the technology to check those boxes, now we solve that problem. You have a technology that enable that. But then as you think about the build out, you heard us talking at the press conference CS about the automotive, the connected car, and 5G for the connected car, for safety, for autonomy. So that's another incentive to put 5G in the roads. And you start to get to the road infrastructure with 5G. From the roads, you started to get easier access for you to create hops into different.
That's a good point, because it's not just a consumer service that's going to be based on their phone or their PC.
That is correct.
It's going to be in the streetlights leading all the way down to their house.
That is correct. As you think about streetlights and roads, you now have a mechanism to get infrastructure to more places, and that will allow for you to, from that, build those links for rural broadband. So, compared to every other generation of wireless, 5G actually get us to a point that we can make this a reality. And yes, it will take time for the rollouts to happen, but we have all the pieces of this puzzle in place to actually deliver on the promise at this time.
You've launched another piece of that puzzle with Snapdragon Drive, your automotive platform. A lot of people probably don't think about Qualcomm instantly as an automotive company, but explain what that platform is and how it's going to take people from level 1 to level 4.
Yes. Look, we've been building our automotive business, basically looking at the transformation the mobile technology in general is doing with the car. And I'll give you all of those steps. First is thinking about connected car, right? The car spent the past few decades connecting the systems within itself, the drive-by-wire, connecting the steering wheel, with connecting the transmission and everything to electronics and the engine, et cetera, et cetera. The next decade is about connecting the car with the cloud. And then that's how it started by, the connected car. Then we went to the next step, which is people are driving, looking at their phones, because your phone provides more information that's relevant to you than the existing dashboard and infotainment. Then the Snapdragon Digital Cockpit transformation. No wonder, because of our mobile understanding and heritage, we became the number 1, and 19 of the car makers are designing digital cockpit with Snapdragon. The next natural step will be autonomy. And the reason I say that is autonomy is about having a multitude of sensors from radio, from cameras, from radar that is going to collect data, having the central processing unit that will process all that data and allow the cars to make decisions about navigation. And at the same time, that the entire automotive industry is going through the process of electrification and looking for more fuel-efficient solution. That explains why this created an opportunity for Qualcomm to expand into autonomy. And the easy ways to think about it. Think about putting a server in the trunk of your car. A server requires active cooling, air conditioning, active cooling with coolants, and require a lot of power. That's going to compete with the power from the battery to drive the car. A company like Qualcomm that has been create technology for a battery-powered device, starting with the phone heritage, we can create a solution that is an order of magnitude more efficient. And that points to really solving the problem of scaling autonomy. And this is what we're doing, and that's why we're so excited about the announcement of CES. To answer your question, we believe there are multiple levels of autonomy. Full autonomous cars or full autonomy, that's going to take a long time. Not only you have the maturity of the technology, but you have a lot of regulatory issues, you have other issues associated. However, if you think of autonomy, especially highway and city driving, that the driver is still in the car, and you can add as a convenient feature, much like you have cruise control in every car right now, that's where the real opportunity is to create a reliable autonomy solution and actually bring that to scale. And both on the cost and the size and the power. And that's what we're doing. So we basically announced a full range of products for autonomy from level 1 to level 4 plus, but we really think the sweet spot is level 2 plus, that you'll be able to be behind the wheel, put autonomy on, sit back, and you're going to have a full highway autopilot, and plus, extension of that to city driving. And I think that's going to make that a reality to scale. And we're not just starting with just an idea. Today we announced not only the platform, the full reference design, announced an expansion of our partnership with General Motors into autonomy, and put the date that we're going to see cars in the road, which is 2023.
Yeah, I was impressed to see that. I was going to ask if you had a hard date, and you put it into the press conference, so you're committed now.
Yes.
It seems to me in the automotive market, a lot of these vendors, everybody's trying to build their own solution from scratch. There hasn't been a lot of sharing of platform or information, and is that something you're hoping to maybe fix with this?
Look, what I think it's good about the Qualcomm business model, and it's no different than what we do in the phone space. We run a horizontal business model, not a vertical business model. We're not, we don't use our chipsets, for example, to build our own phones. We actually provide a platform that everybody can build phones. That's the same approach we're doing with every solution on the autonomy. Is a horizontal platform, is about creating an ecosystem that people can write their software, can bring their data. The autonomous, we have our autonomous stack that we announced today. We've been doing countless hours of drive tests with autonomous devices, with our autonomous program, but we also provide a platform that the car maker and their partners can bring their stack in. The horizontal business model has been a unique part of the Qualcomm. Even our licensing program is about enabling, everyone to have access to the technology through licensing. That's our approach, and I think that's going to be successful in the long run.
I want to ask you some of the questions I ask everybody that comes on the show. Is there a technology trend that keeps you up at night?
Yes, but it keeps me up at night out of excitement, not out of concern. One of the most significant and not fully understood part of 5G. The way, there's all those things you talk about, you hear about 5G. The simple way to think about it, 5G basically allow you to be connected to the cloud 100% of the time with virtually, unlimited bandwidth and a very short latency. What that does, it's allow you to have computing on demand. You may have the computational capabilities of your device, but when you need more, you will use the computations capability on the cloud seamless. What that will do, will basically make your smartphone capable of running any use case. And you start hearing those things when we say about on-demand computing for the connected PC. You start talking about the evolution of social when you have glasses to do all the computation in the cloud, and we have like a Black Mirror episode in real life, coming up. And then you have the situation where your phone can play mainstream gamings. But the ability to bring the power of the cloud, which is unlimited storage, unlimited processing power, to every phone app is such a transformation that in a few years into the 5G transition, when coverage is mature, you need coverage, otherwise none of this is going to happen. But coverage is mature. We're going to look at the capability of our phone and the services, and we're going to see, wow, that's really amazing. That's one of the biggest. We think the smartphone transformation is incredible today, and we can't live without them. It changed the society. What this will do is going to be another one of that transformation, if it's not bigger.
And you think a lot of it's going to be based on XR and VR and augmented reality?
And many of those, I think we're going to have companion devices. So I think we're all going to have, glasses once they start to look like that, like a regular eyeglass. And then we're going to be able to have a lot of the, productivity and complex applications just driven out of our phones.
So that was a very optimistic answer to my "what are you afraid of" question. Do you have any advice for people that are afraid of living in a world that's dominated by AI and automation?
That's a very good, I think, timely question. And I think it's easy to answer. So I'll provide, Cristiano opinion about this. This is, I think, it's going to be a process of evolution of our society and maturity. But the way I think about it is, when you live in a society right now, today, and if you live if we look at the United States and democratic society, you have rights and you have obligations, and there's a lot of laws designed to protect your personal being as a citizen. But the reality is, all of us right now, we're going to have a digital twin. We're going to have a proxy of ourselves in the cloud. And that's kind of what happens today with everything you do and the apps you use. And eventually, you're going to be entitled to the same rights and obligations. And I think the society is going to evolve so that your digital twin is going to be as protected in as you are today. And I think the fact that we're going to be in a connected society is inevitable. We're connected right now. We're going to get more connected. We just needed to probably mature how we think about that and take the existence of our digital twin, very seriously.
Is there a technology, a gadget, or an app that you use every day that inspires wonder?
Yes, but it's not much about inspiration, but it's about the application that I use every day. I cannot be without it. It's a WhatsApp. I think WhatsApp, it's incredible. I think I use it to communicate, very efficient with it. The device I use every day is my Galaxy Note 10 Plus 5G with millimeter wave. Okay. And I'm really excited to see how the whole gaming industry is going to change as consoles move to mainstream devices with cloud gaming. That will be probably the next app I'm looking forward to experience.
Very cool. Cristiano, thanks so much for talking to me today.
Oh, my pleasure. Happy to be here. Thank you.
That's Fast Forward for today. You can get more episodes of Fast Forward on PCMag.com, YouTube, and you can find them anywhere fine podcasts are given away for free. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll see you in the future.